Arnold Schoenberg, born 1871 to 1951, was one of the most influential composers of the 20th century, best known for his atonal and 12-tone music. He was also committed to continuing the German classical tradition, and for that very reason he felt compelled to move beyond tonality to atonality, a term for music that avoids establishing a tonal center, and then to the 12-tone method, a form of atonality based on systematic orderings of the 12 notes of the chromatic scale. His innovations made him famous in some quarters and, because the resulting music was both dissonant and difficult to follow, notorious to others. In this video, we explore Arnold Schoenberg's Numerology and Hermeticism found in his music. What is Arithmologia and Numerology? The science of numbers, Arithmologia, uncountable mathematics, the science of numbers, basic arithmetic. There's more, the study of numbers in the belief that they have special importance in people's lives. Numerology gives individuals a life path number that is reached by a calculation involving date of birth. What's the difference between Arithmologia and Numerology? Here's a comparison. Arithmologia was concerned with exploring numbers as the underlying principle and structure of the universe, as the key to mystic understanding previously revealed to patriarchs and philosophers in ancient times. The field of Arithmologia may be understood as the intersection of traditional religious numerology and contemporary mathematics, drawing on ideas from Pythagoras, Gnosticism, and the Kabbalah. Numerology is the belief in an occult, divine, or mystical relationship between a number and one or more coinciding events. It is also the study of numerical value via the alphanumeric system of the letters in words and names. When numerology is applied to a person's name, it is a form of automancy. It is often associated with the paranormal alongside astrology and is similar to divinatory arts. One scientific explanation for these beliefs is the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. Where did Arnold Schoenberg get his inspiration to create his 12-tone system of music? It is believed that he received his inspiration from a French novel called Séraphin. Séraphin was written by a man named Balzac, but Balzac got his inspiration from a man named Emil Swedenborg. Emil Swedenborg was a Swedish pluralistic Christian theologian, scientist, philosopher, and mystic. Here we see the tie of the Hermetic, Gnosticistic, mystic, esoteric religion passing through Emil Swedenborg to Balzac to Schoenberg. Since Schoenberg was a reader of Swedenborg, or at least of Balzac's Swedenborgian novel, Séraphin, which not only inspired the composer's song of that name, but also played a part in his invention of the system of 12 tones, related only to one another, to evoke the sensation of freely floating in space so vividly described at the end of Balzac's novel. One reason that Schoenberg cut loose from the moorings of tonality, allowing the 12 tones to create their own gravityless, unified musical space. All human beings go through a previous life in the sphere of instinct, where they are brought to see the worthlessness of earthly treasures, to amass which they gave themselves such untold pains. Who can tell how many times the human being lives in the sphere of instinct before he's prepared to enter the sphere of abstractions, where thought expends itself on erring science, where mind wearies at last of human language. For when matter is exhausted, spirit enters. Who knows how many fleshly forms their air of heaven occupies before he can be brought to understand the value of that silence and solitude, whose starry plains are but the vestibule of spiritual worlds. He feels his way amid the void, makes trial of nothingness. Then at last his eyes revert upon the path. Then follow their existence, all to be lived, to reach their place where light effulgent shines. Death is the post-house of the journey. A lifetime may be needed merely to gain the virtues which annul the errors of man's preceding life. First comes the life of suffering, whose tortures create a thirst for love. Next, the life of love and devotion to the creature, teaching devotion to the creature, a life where the virtues of love, its martyrdoms, its joys followed by sorrows, its angelic hopes, its patience, its resignation, excite an appetite for things divine. Then follows the life which seeks in silence the traces of the word, in which the soul grows humble and charitable. Next, the life of longing, and lastly, the life of prayer. In that is the noonday sun. There are the followers. There are the harvest. It continues. Spirits of the pure, ye sacred flock, come forth from the hidden places. Come on the surface of the luminous waves. The hour now is. Come, assemble. Let us sing at the gates of the sanctuary. Our songs shall drive away the final clouds. With one accord, let us hail the dawn of the eternal day. Behold the rising of the one true light. Ah, why may I not take with me these my friends? Farewell, poor earth, farewell. So as you can see here, he's drawing upon the Kabbalion text, the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece, by the three initiates. In this text, it talks about the 7 principles. And this is in reference to the 7 spheres of which the soul will ascend through, where the earth is the center of these spheres. However, in this case, the center of these spheres is the main character, Seraphita, and she must transcend these spheres in order to ascend to the heavenly place of light. Also, one can glean how Schoenberg was inspired by this ascension, with its vividly describing of such things as ascending and free-floating in space. And you can see how he might want to cut loose from the moorings of tonality and create a more esoteric system or expressionist system, the sort of gravityless and unified musical space which I quoted earlier. Not only does the number 7 play a significant role in the Hermetic tradition and its ascension through the 7 spheres into the heaven of light, also the number 3. In Schoenberg's work, numerology has an important role in the pitch organization. Schoenberg's tone row is a strictly determined compositional formula that replaces the musical theme and is organized both internally and in progress according to the non-repetition principle. According to this non-repetition principle, the tone row can undergo 3 transformations. There's the significance of the number 3. Inversion, retrograde, and retrograde inversion, in addition to its original or prime form. Once the tone row has transformed or traversed through these 3 transformations, the row can now be repeated again from the beginning in a cycle of endless permutations over and over again. In this next and final section, we will briefly explore 2 compositions by Arnold Schoenberg that utilize the Jewish Kabbalion text. What is the Cabal? The Cabal is a Jewish text. It is an esoteric method and discipline, and a school of thought in Jewish mysticism. In this first composition by Arnold Schoenberg, called Kol Nidre, is a composition inspired by the Hebrew declaration recited in the synagogue called the Day of Atonement. In the text of this composition, Kol Nidre, which is sung by the chorus, you will find frequent references to the Kabbalion by referring to light, meek and modest. Sparks are hidden, or the divine sparks, often referred to in Hermetic texts as the divine spark in man, or the sparks of the divine and the mundane. Literally, the words mean to fix or rectify a hidden world mystery. Now feast your eyes and ears upon Arnold Schoenberg's Kol Nidre. You will see littered throughout the text references to the Cabal, such words as light, spark, and Schoenberg's more esoteric and profound works called De Profundis, which was inspired by the Kabbalion Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is a diagram used in the rabbinical Judaism, in the Kabbalah, and other mystical traditions derived from it. It is always referred to as the Kabbalistic Tree of Life to distinguish it from the other Tree of Life that appears alongside the Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil in the Genesis creation narrative, and as well as the archetypical Tree of Life found in many cultures. One of the most distinguishing features about the Kabbalistic Tree of Life is its use of nodes, or as they commonly refer to as spheres or paths. These nodes usually represent encompassing aspects of existence, God, and human psyche. The paths usually represent the relationship between the concepts ascribed to the spheres, or a symbolic description of the requirements to go from one sphere to another. The columns are usually symbolized as pillars. These usually represent different kinds of moral values. One of the more interesting nodes of the Tree of Life is the sixth position of the Tree of Life. This center position represents the heart of God, harmonizing and synthesizing all others. This particular work, De Profundis, Opus 50, number B, is the only one to which the text is in Hebrew by Arnold Schoenberg. Now let us feast our ears yet again on another amazing composition by Arnold Schoenberg. This is Psalm 130 from Opus 50B, circa 1950. Wow, there's just so much to explore within Arnold Schoenberg's music concerning Hermeticism, mysticism, and the Kabbalion text. I think if one is willing to do such a deep dive for further analysis, I'm sure you will find tons of references to Hermeticism and the Kabbalion text, including the Tree of Life and other references with the divine spark of humanity. It's just endless. Schoenberg I think, is the quintessential example, or the peak example of a composer who was written within the Hermetic tradition. And I recommend listening to his music further and explore this Hermetic tradition. There's a lot to uncover within his music. He's certainly an alchemist of his time. Well, if you like this video, please consider making a small contribution or donations to it. This is how we keep the channel alive. So thanks for coming out, and we'll see you in the next video.